There is new expansion news, breaking news, new details. And today is no different. I want to get right to work on Pac-12 expansion because I think this is one of the most significant stories of our college football fandoms. And today we have two big college football stories. We'll start with the Pac-12 versus the Mountain West. And in the framework of this conversation and with these details that we're going to give you, I ask you, who's in better position to succeed? Who is in better position to survive? The Pac-12 or the Mountain West? Because now we know that the Mountain West, as we reported first on this show, the Mountain West is in deep conversations with Utep, University of Texas, El Paso, who has for many, many years, dating back to the early 2000s, had a flirtation with the Mountain West that was not able for one reason or another to come to fruition. And now with expansion battles happening between the Mountain West and the Pac-12, the Mountain West is being very aggressive in their pursuit of UTEP. And it appears this is a fait accompli. It is all but done between UTEP and the Mountain West. I would expect an announcement at some point this week. And this is shocking because I told you on the show yesterday, this is a battleground now between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. I think UTEP, Texas State, and New Mexico State are all really important key figures in Pac-12 and Mountain West expansion. And if Pac-12 expansion is going to go on to the point where the Pac-12 can call itself a full-fledged conference, which remember, to be an FBS conference, you need 8 full members. One of the big stories here is Toledo and Northern Illinois, who are also in talks with the Mountain West as football-only members. So the Mountain West has to get to 8 full members, all sports in the Mountain West. That begins with UTEP, who it seems is very close. I think this is a big deal because sources close to the situation yesterday reiterated to me that Gloria Nevarez is running circles around the Pac-12, who at this point, is playing defense instead of offense because the Mountain West is not sitting back and waiting for things to happen. The Mountain West is out creating conversations and really creating relationships. And again, the other point that I bring up to you is, what did we talk about with Gloria Nevarez? She has reach. The commissioner of the Mountain West, Gloria Nevarez, has reach across the college football world. She has relationships. So she has been able to pick up the phone and call Texas State and call UTEP and call NIU and call Toledo and make these conversations happen, whereas the Pac-12 has not been able to do that. And Jake, I think this right now is coming down to which conference has the better commissioner.
Absolutely. And I think hasn't that been the problem for the Pac-12 since the beginning of time? I mean, how long have we been talking about, Larry Scott, George Kliavkoff, how long have we been talking about bad management?
Teresa Gould now.
Yeah, Teresa Gould now, who I don't think anybody knows, but you guys remember all the conversations. You remember that, all back in the day, right? Last year, the year before, we remember talking about like, hey, George Kliavkoff is not someone that's really respected across college football. He's not someone that is going to step into a room the way, Greg Sankey would, or Tony Petitti would, or Jim Phillips would, or Brett Yormark would, and really command respect in that way. And I think that's been one of the Pac-12's biggest issues, both now and current day, and going back to it. And when we look at UTEP and we look at the state of Texas and, we look at what could have been over the years for the Pac-12, right? We remember the conversations around, hey, the Pac-12 back in the day is looking at adding Texas, right? We remember, hey, Texas and SC in the same conference would be a powerhouse dynamic that would control college football. So whether it's back then or right now, the Pac-12 has struggled to have a presence in the state of Texas. And that's why I think, when we look at this UTEP situation, the Mountain West right now absolutely has the upper hand. They have a better offering. They have a more reliable situation. They're able to pay you more money. They're able to say, hey, we know that you're taking a step up, and because we have a TV deal, we can provide some concessions to help make that happen. Like, these are all things that a school like UTEP would value, and these are all things that other schools at UTEP's level would value. And so, yes, the Mountain West absolutely has the upper hand. And again, and I saw the comments yesterday in our comments section talking about how, we've blown it out of proportion. This idea that, hey, the Pac-12 has an image problem, that, the Pac-12 is actually not struggling with how people view them. In my opinion, is they are struggling with this. People don't view the Pac-12 as a great opportunity, number one, but then number two, they don't respect the way you do business, just generally speaking. So if those two things are at play, how could you expect to go into the state of Texas and add anybody, let alone a school that views your competition as a better opportunity?
Well, and I also think one of the things that is so clear here is Pac-12 fans believe that it's a new day in the Pac-12. And again, talking to sources across college football yesterday, talking to sources in the TV industry yesterday, it's the same old Pac-12. They are asking for an exorbitant amount of money because they're not cash rich right now. They do not have this lawsuit they filed against the Mountain West has put them in a very precarious position because I think they believed that they would get out of paying these poaching fees. And the way it's been told to me, Gloria Nevarez and the members of the Mountain West that remain are in no way, shape, or form in a place where they're willing to give a penny back to the Pac-12 in exit fees and poaching fees. They're not even having the conversations at this point. And why would you?
Yeah.
And I think the other part of this that is so interesting, you talk about Teresa Gould, and I think it's a really interesting point. Teresa Gould's not a new executive in the Pac-12. I don't know how many people realize it. Teresa Gould, the current commissioner of the Pac-12, has been in the employ of the Pac-12 since 2004. And this is just the same old Pac-12. She worked under Larry Scott. She worked under George Kliavkoff. She is in that old Pac-12 regime that believes that they are bigger and better just because their name is the Pac-12. And it's something I think that they are struggling with right now because you couldn't have said it any better. The words that were used to me is the Pac-12 has a perception problem. They believe that they are worth significantly more than they are worth. And I think as somebody that I don't have a dog in this fight, I look at the Mountain West. I think the Mountain West is acutely aware of who they are and where they are. I think they are acutely aware of what their value in the marketplace and with their TV partners is. I think they are more than aware that they're not a $10 million per school league. I think they are well aware of that. I also think that they are well aware that El Paso is not Dallas. El Paso is not a large market that is going to net them a huge return. But what UTEP does is give them a footprint in Texas. It gives them another time zone. It gives them the ability to recruit, to sell, and to build cash off of the fact that you are doing business in places like Texas, El Paso, in places like Toledo, Ohio, in places like DeKalb, Illinois. And while those are not major markets, what they are is markets that replenish what you've lost, because there really is not that much difference between Toledo and Boise and El Paso and any of these other markets that you lost. And you look at the conversations that we've had on this show. Again, I ask you about San Diego, because this is a conversation that is routinely coming up when I am talking to people in the TV industry. How important and how much leverage does the city and the viewership of San Diego bring to the Pac-12? And the answer I routinely get is, well, it's not Los Angeles. And I think that's a very good point. And I understand why the Pac-12 needed San Diego State. It was not negotiable. They needed San Diego State. But what else did they get? Well, they got Colorado State, they got Boise State, and they got Fresno State. None of those three are big TV markets. And I think people need to come to terms with the fact that you are playing on a level field with the Mountain West, and you are losing badly at this moment because your TV markets are not significantly better. San Diego is not a significantly better TV market than Las Vegas. San Diego is not a significantly larger population than Las Vegas. And in fact, a very good point was made to me. Look at the geography of San Diego versus Las Vegas. How is San Diego built? San Diego is built from essentially Oceanside south to the Tijuana, Mexico border. And then when you go out west, you're what? La Jolla. If you go out east, you start looking at the communities and you start looking at the spread of that geography in Southern California. There's not a large, dense TV viewership in San Diego. Whereas if you go to Las Vegas, you have a burgeoning population that is exploding in growth, that is centrally located. Nobody in Clark County, Nevada, really, and let's call it what it is, the Las Vegas metropolitan area. Nobody in the Las Vegas metropolitan area is probably more than 30 to 40 minutes away from Allegiant Stadium or downtown the Strip. Any part of Las Vegas you want to point to, there is a significant population base easily within reach. And I think that is a big, big difference between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, because again, if you assume that you are going to get Texas, El Paso, Toledo, Ohio, and DeKalb, Illinois, but I think you are in a better population and TV situation than the Pac-12 has.
Yeah,
and I think it's hard to argue that.
Yeah, I would agree. It's hard to argue that, and I think that Pac-12 fans and folks who feel the Pac-12 is in the right here, I think struggle with the concept or maybe struggle to admit that it doesn't go both ways for you, right? Like if you're going to say, hey, San Diego is this big market, then that inherently would mean that places like you were just referencing, DeKalb, Illinois, or, Toledo, or, any of these other markets that would come up, those are also big markets because San Diego, just like you said, has always been the little brother to LA. And I think it's really interesting when we talk about the Pac-12's perception of its brands. Like, let's not forget, again, how this whole thing with Pac-12 expansion started. How did this get kicked off? With J.D. Wicker and company, as I affectionately call them, Wickerville, sending or putting out a statement in the paper, doing an interview in the paper in San Diego, saying that they had no interest in the Big 12, that the Big 12 wasn't a fit for them, that the Pac-12's always been it. And so it's a perception issue. And it's hilarious to me that the Pac-12, that group of schools and that leadership thought it would be a good idea to hire someone or to elevate someone, I should say, and Teresa Gould to commissioner who's part of the old guard. Because what's the saying? What do we always talk about with football, right? Hey, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get the same thing you've always got. And that's exactly what we're seeing play out. So the way this situation is developing and evolving is hardly surprising because the Pac-12 is still doing what it's always done, which is shocking.
And I think you have to define what value is here, because if you are the Mountain West and you are the Pac-12, you're not going to be a automatic qualifier of what we all commonly refer to as a power conference. That's not happening, not with the markets that you're playing in. And I think the other point here is, where's the win in Pac-12 expansion now? If you assume Utep is off the board for the Pac-12, where are you turning to next? I'm telling you, it's Sacramento State. And that's a big jump up from where Sacramento State is now to FCS to FBS. Like, you're talking about a massive jump, a $5 million payment. And now Sac State is investing millions of dollars in facilities. And they're openly talking about they want to be in the Pac-12. Sacramento, I think, is a really good market. In fact, I used to live there. I know Sacramento intimately well. It's a really good market with passionate fans, but it does not deliver you the Bay Area. And I'm not saying that San Jose State does, but my point is Sacramento State is a good ad. It's not, wow, that's a massive conference move.
Well, and I think that's the other problem for the Pac-12 is there's not like another heavyweight ad here. What's going on here between these two conferences, or this wannabe conference at this point, and the Mountain West is they're battling for control of what's left, because we're not talking about the best teams in college football. We're not even talking about the worst teams at the P4 level. We're obviously talking about the lower end of college football here, which is fine. But for the Pac-12, that's a huge issue, because if you're going to try and do something like this, you need it like an ad that will shift the landscape. You need, like, to make this work, you're going to need like one of those ACC schools out there. Like, you're going to need some type of big, like, hey, we got this school. We're legitimate. People value us. And that's always been the Pac-12's issue. You're telling us you're worth $1, but really you're only worth 10 cents.
Yeah.
And you just, people are not going to take risk when they don't feel like, hey, the upside potential is just not there. And that's what I think ultimately is the Pac-12's biggest struggle. The value proposition is just not there currently.
Well, and I don't know how you do that, because the Mountain West has no delusions of grandeur. And I think the Mountain West is acute. Again, the word that I keep bringing up, acutely, very aware of who they are. They're not trying to be a power conference. I think what the Mountain West is trying to do as quickly as they can, as well as they can, is get back to 8 full-time members.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get to 10 members in totality. Because remember, again, and people were arguing with me in the comments section the other day, which I don't understand. Hawaii is a football-only member of the Mountain West. Hawaii is not a full share member. So you need 8 full members. They've got to add 2 full members as soon as possible. And my guess is that's going to be Utep and I would think Texas State, but we'll see.
But think about that. If you got 2 teams in Texas as a conference,
yeah,
that's a huge, like, if we take the Pac-12 expansion portion, set that to the side just for a second, just looking at the Mountain West as a conference, think about the complexion or the makeup of that conference before those schools had left for the Pac-12. And now think of what the opportunity, I should say, that they have here to kind of shift how far east they go. Because, Texas has always kind of been that line in the sand, if you will, if you're a group of 5 conference, whether you're on the East Coast or on the West Coast, right? Like, if you're in the American, Texas is very clearly this line in the sand. You're not looking to push to Arizona, New Mexico. Like, you're not trying to get that far. But in the Mountain West, it would be valuable to have a presence there, even if it is just North Texas and Utep, right? Like, I get it. We're not talking about Baylor in Texas. I understand that. But it's still an improvement from a conference perspective and a TV partner perspective.
Yeah. I think if you get Utep and Texas State, the Pac-12 is in real trouble, because I don't know where you go. And that's what I continue to say. Like, San Diego, and what is the population of San Diego? 1.7 million or something like that. And it just does not bring the cachet of LA and Orange County.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that San Diego State doesn't have the football history and tradition. I think we're past the point of, are you winning on the field now? If that mattered, UTEP wouldn't even be in this conversation.
Right.
Because UTEP has not been relevant in football for far too long. We're now talking about population centers. We're now talking about ways for a G5 conference to survive. And until, and I'm not trying to belabor this point, but until the Pac-12 comes to terms with the fact that they are no longer a power conference, that they are a G5 conference, and they may not even be that, until they start viewing the world through that lens, I think they're really going to struggle, because I think they thought that they were overwhelmingly the best university builds. They overwhelmingly thought they were going to get, it's done. We have a TV contract. It's not done. You don't have a TV contract.
Not done until it's done, signed, sealed, and delivered.
Because you don't have anything to sell right now.
Yeah.
That is the biggest problem. Now, if you want to be, hey, that West Coast conference that up and down the West Coast, and we're San Diego, we have Fresno and San Jose and Sac State, and we are West Coast football. Okay, I can understand that position. That's a $5 million a year position. That's not a $10 to $15 million a year position, which is what they were selling these Mountain West members on. Hey, we're getting $10 to $15 million per school per year. Come on over. We're in good shape. And then you ran into Ed Scott at the AAC and Memphis, who I was told yesterday was really the wrench in the gears of getting the AAC members to jump, because Memphis said, well, wait a minute, 10 to $15 million. Where are we getting that? Well, the CW. And,
trust me, bro.
and
It's going to happen.
They didn't have an answer as to, because if you're going to leave the AAC, which now I think unquestionably is the best G5 conference, you better have more than a trust me, bro, because trust me, bro, is why the Pac-12 has 2 members right now.
Yeah, and think about the implications if you're a G5, right? If you're in the American or Mountain West, or whichever conference you want to look at, think about the implications this situation has on your chances at the playoff, right?
Yes.
Because obviously we know the highest ranked champion, conference champion of the G5 is going to get that one guaranteed spot. And so if you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, we're Memphis, or we're, whatever team you want to look at.
Boise. We're Boise. And I know Boise State fan has been crawling in every orifice possible to try and make noise. I just ask Boise, congratulations. What does that Statue of Liberty play mean to you right now today? And I'm being honest, because we're no longer in a place where, hey, we're going to take the 4 corner schools because they win. Or if you can't grasp this idea in Boise, and Boise, you guys are passionate and I have a lot of respect for you. What you've won previously doesn't mean anything today. It means nothing. Boise does not carry swagger in TV. I spoke to a guy at the very top of a network yesterday who said, those are great highlights, but we don't make money on running Boise State highlight tapes. Straight up said that to me yesterday. We don't make money on running Boise State highlight tapes. And the question is, and I fully agree with this, cool, you change Boise State, change their field logo from a Pac-12 to a Mountain West. That's not worth anything to TV people. And so I'm asking you, do you bring a huge population center? You don't. Do you bring a football team that can compete for a national championship? You don't. Are you arguably one of the best G5 football programs in the country? You are. But that's not $10 to $15 million.
Right.
And again, the biggest issue, straight from a TV guy yesterday, back to San Diego. San Diego doesn't bring you a huge TV audience, and it does not bring you a football team that can pull from Orange and LA County, because they don't win. That's a basketball school.
Yeah.
They don't win football games, and they don't have a population. So what you're trying to sell here is,
help us. That's what you're trying to sell.
Do me a solid and give me a big TV deal that we can't justify. That's the issue. And they're both in the exact same spot with one critical difference. The Mountain West recognizes that, and the Pac-12 does not.
Yeah.
That is the key difference between the two people involved here.
And I would also say, to that point, I think the Mountain West has better TV relationships. I think, the Mountain West with Gloria Navarez and the members it does have, I think have better relationships throughout college football. I think they're more liked.
Yeah.
I think they're a little more respected. I think that, nobody's saying that they're a better conference on the football field per se, but what they are saying is, hey, if we're talking about 2 mediocre conferences, I'd rather do business with someone that I like and who is reasonable.
That I've known for years,
that I've known
worked
for years.
in the WCC, that has done a really good job. And again, everybody mocked, and again, Boise State fan yesterday in the comments section, getting upset that I said Boise State doesn't pull a TV deal. Well, we're making more money than everybody else in that conference. Congratulations. That's on the current TV deal that you have that expires in 2026.
Yeah.
And I just go back to, when you sign this new deal, if this even happens, what are you selling if you're Boise State? What are you selling if you're San Diego State? What are you selling? And let's say that everything that Boise State fan and San Diego State fan and Fresno State fan says, it's all true. Oregon State fan, Washington State fan, it's all true. Colorado State fan, it's all true. Okay, so there's 6 of you. What are you selling? Well, we're not an actual conference with the NCAA. Okay, that's a big problem.
You know.
Okay, well, we added who to become an 8-team legitimate NCAA recognized FBS conference? Okay, I'll give you Sac State. I think it's a solid ad for a G5. Sac State, in addition to what? Because I don't know the answer to that question.
I have no idea, and that's what I'm saying. I almost feel like we're having a scheduling conversation. You know how when we talk about like strength of schedule and like, do teams have get back power if they have a bad loss early in the year? I almost feel like this is a similar conversation, right? Like you don't have a way to say, hey, we did this, so that means we get that. Like you don't have the ability to do that right now. And so, I think that I
agree.
I think that Pac-12 fans, I would agree with what you've said the last couple of days. We talked about this is like Pac-12 fan is definitely in a defensive stance here about this conversation. And I understand that you want the conference to, be reincarnated essentially. You want it to be remade. You want it to happen. And I don't blame you for that. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Like, it's really not even a conversation about like, oh, well, you guys don't like the Pac-12 or you like the Mountain West. It's not really like that for us. Like, it's more a conversation about the X's and O's and the mechanics of putting a conference back together. And what concerns me so much about it is I just completely agree with the idea that, hey, you are seeing the Pac-12 behave the same way they always have. And so because they're doing that, they're not considering when they want to roll out a lawsuit that's going to screw them when it comes to competing with the Mountain West to add other schools. Did anybody in the Pac-12 consider that? Hey, if you're going to have to pay $1 gazillion an hour to your hefty legal team over here, like, how are you going to put out a good sales pitch to North Texas or UTEP or any of the schools we've talked about today? Oh, that's right. That's really going to hurt your ability to add schools. So the least of your problems right now is the exit fees for those schools you poached. Your biggest problem is that you think that you should sue the Mountain West to try to get an upper hand when all you did was gift wrap them the upper hand. And that's why I don't think that the Pac-12 has this long, prosperous path back.
I think it's a struggle. And again, Pac-12 fan being like, why do you guys hate the Pac-12? I don't hate the Pac-12. Boise fan, I don't hate Boise. Mountain West fan, I don't love you. I'm not a Mountain West fan. On this show, we have the great advantage of not being emotional over the topic. It's why we've been able to win. It's why we've been right on this. And I will just again tell you, if you're the Pac-12, you made a mistake not getting every single member of the Mountain West.
Yeah.
That was your single biggest mistake. You had your foot on their neck and you took it off. You decided to go to court instead of the guillotine. And that's going to ultimately, in my opinion, it's going to make it very difficult for you to survive this because you're going to have to go to, I can't even think of anybody outside of Sac State because you're not getting anybody else in the Mountain West because every other member has signed a letter of intent.
Right. We remember that. Yeah.
To which essentially says, here are our grants of rights through 2031, which is going to make it really difficult for, I see all the Pac-12 fans yesterday, and I would encourage you to go read all the comments, like talking about Wyoming. Well, the mistake was not getting Wyoming. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But do you really want Laramie and Fort Collins? Are those markets you're thrilled with? They're down the street from each other, essentially in geography.
I would agree with that, but I think for the Pac-12, the only plus side of those two, because I do agree they're right next to each other. Obviously Laramie, with all due respect, is Laramie. Like, that's not,
I mean,
it's like literally right next to each other. But I think the thing with Wyoming that's taken place over the last 2 seasons is they've played in a lot of games that have garnered extra attention because of the way the games have ended. Like, and I know this might seem minutia, but Wyoming has gained relevance just in the conversation because of games like Texas Tech last year, because of these wins that they've been able to get that maybe people are like, oh, Wyoming beat Texas Tech? Like, how did that happen?
If I were the
Like,
Pac-12, I'd be going to the Dakota schools. I would be,
yeah.
but it's really odd to me that the Pac-12 can't come to a spot where they're not being at all. The word humbly came to light yesterday. I was talking to this TV guy. I had a great conversation with this dude, really influential guy at one of the major sports networks, saying there is zero humility in the Pac-12. And the Mountain West, the conversation Gloria Nevarez is having isn't, well, we're the best. Gloria Nevarez is acutely aware that she lost her biggest brands. She is well aware that they are on life support and that there is only one path back for the Mountain West. And that is New Mexico State, El Paso, and San Marcos for Texas State. And I think she'd be very happy to add NIU and Toledo as football only. She is acutely aware of that she's not out there selling the fact, oh, we're going to have an automatic qualifier. We're a power. She's not selling that. She's out there selling that we're a G5 and we're trying to build back to where we were and then surpass that and become the best G5 conference. And I think she's very well aware that that's going to be very difficult, but she's somebody who has this spirit about her, is the way it's described, that she has energy, she has belief, and she's a hell of a salesperson. And that's exactly what the Pac-12 doesn't have.
Yeah, and I want to address this. I'm seeing these comments about like, oh, you're hating on San Diego, but you're saying Wyoming's a better TV market.
Who said Wyoming's a better TV market?
So this is what you guys, and what is it, UW fan Jim, I think, and Dan, like
UW fan Jim, Wyoming. Now that's a TV market. Who said Wyoming was a great TV market?
This is what you don't understand. Okay. And I get it, man. You're a great contributor to the show. You're here every day. I appreciate you. But with all due respect, you're in over your head if you think that Wyoming doesn't matter and that San Diego as a TV market is somehow just superior. You have to understand that we're not saying, well, hey, if you put San Diego next to Wyoming, Wyoming is way up here. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that, hey, when you look at relevancy, I would agree that Wyoming, the last 2 seasons, which in my opinion for a TV professional is what you're looking at, the last 2 to 3 seasons, hey, have you done anything? Wyoming has done a few things in football. They've got some quality wins. They've got some things that people are talking about. So as a football program, YO is more relevant than San Diego State.
Are we really having to explain this?
Yes, we are. Because Pac-12 fan, again, with all due respect, you have blinders on. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with the Pac-12 from a business perspective.
Dan Davis, the Pac-12 is on TV here more than every Pac-12 team that left for a better conference. It's guys like you, Dan, that make me crazy. Who cares what you're doing right now? Are we talking about your current situation? And I don't know where Dan Davis is. I don't know where you live. Are we talking about your current situation? Are we talking about your current TV contract? We're not. We're not talking about we're talking about your next contract.
If there is a next one.
And the thing that I can't understand about Pac-12 fan, and we went through this exact same thing when it was the Pac-12's never going away and nobody's leaving. And the thing that I can't get people to grasp is nobody gives a rat's ass about what you have or have done. Nobody cares about your current TV deal. It's meaningless. It means nothing. In the Pac-12, the reality of the situation is you're in business with the CW and you need to get back into business starting in 2026 with the CW. But if you look at what the CW's major issue is, it's that, like the PNW, how are you going to sell your Seattle affiliate of the CW on taking football the entirety of your football package. When you've got the Seahawks and the Huskies, and Washington State is not insignificant in the grand scheme of things in Seattle, but your Seattle affiliate is not going to make as much money playing Washington State football as they would reruns of My Little or Little House on the Prairie, let's say, or Chips, or whatever the hell show they rerun. That's why the CW has struggled with Live Golf. Do you understand that Live Golf has more people that watch them on their stream and on their app than they do on the CW? And why is that? Because the CW doesn't have control of its affiliates, not its stations that it owns and operates. It's affiliates who say, yeah, I'll take the first 2 hours and 9 minutes of Live Golf, but then I'm going to Chips reruns.
Yeah, you guys remember the infamous, hey, this dude's in the middle of his backswing and we turned on Chips?
It is what Pac-12 fans have never been able to grasp. Nobody cares what you did in the past. It's only what you can do for me going forward. And in TV, I don't know how to break it to you. San Diego's not a great pull as a TV market. Laramie, Wyoming isn't a TV market. But when we're talking about these two conferences, and I don't know why Pac-12 fan cannot grasp this, it's the totality of your membership. You're selling a package. You're not selling Boise State and the Statue of Liberty play. You're not selling San Diego State, which is a basketball school.
Right.
Because they don't win football games. You're not selling Fresno State. You're not the Fresno market, while not insignificant, does not put anybody over the top of anything. You have to have a total package, which is what Gloria Nevarez is building. Hey, I understand, you know what? We lost our 4 biggest brands, but listen, CBS, listen, I want you to understand Fox Sports, because those are her TV partners and she's got great relationships with them. We understand who we are and where we are. We're not asking you to triple our current, revenue. We're asking you, and Gloria Nevarez, as I am told, is going to her TV partners and saying, hey, how about Utep? How do you feel about Northern Illinois? How do you feel about Toledo? Football onlys. How do you feel about Texas State, who is between Austin and hell, Waco and San Antonio, in the heart of Texas, Utep to New Mexico State? What does that bring us? Well, if you're CBS Sports Network, I don't know that you're really that concerned about, well, it's, San Antonio. I think you're more worried about being able to sell Utep versus UNLV. Can I sell that football game? The truth is, it's probably not worth what San Diego State versus Boise State is. That's a better TV matchup, in my opinion. The problem is, it's not a better TV matchup when you're asking for $10 to $15 million per team.
Yep.
When you're asking for $80 to $100 million, it's not a better matchup. I'll take UTEP and UNLV
because your profitability is superior on that.
I'll take that, because if you do the math, I'll take that for $49 million a year, because that's essentially where the valuation that's the number that was told to me yesterday about the Mountain West, that it would be $49 million if you were to do a TV deal today.
Yeah.
That you would be at, and you're at these 7 members, you're probably valuing that at $49 million. I would take that today over $10 to $15 million and $80 million a year for the Pac-12. Every TV executive would, because it's not like we're talking about, well, do you want Alabama and Georgia, or do you want like UTEP and UNLV? We're not having that discussion.
Well,
we're having 4 G5 schools. Like we're having San Diego State and Fresno State versus UTEP and UNLV for a drastically reduced rate, yeah, I'll take UTEP and UNLV.
Well, and I think that 49 number is a really interesting number when you start to look at like adding schools, right? If you're a TV partner, if you're CBS Sports Network or Fox, or
Right.
you go 7 million a member. So 49 million, divide that by 7, that's obviously 7. And then if you add 2 more, you're going to add 14 million to that ledger, right? So 49 plus 14, it's going to be 63 million to get to 9 schools at that point, to get back to, NCAA certified or whatever, recognized. You're back in a good spot. And you're saying to CBS Sports Network and Fox, hey, I know it's not Baylor, I know it's not Texas, but we're in the state, right? As a conference, we can now offer you a presence in the state of Texas. We can now offer you certain opportunities in future scheduling, conversations. And I think those are little things that I think as a TV partner at that level, you're looking for, because you're right. As a CBS Sports Network or as a Fox Sports 1, if you're looking at a game on that network, you're saying, yeah, we need to make the best matchup we can, but we value the total package that you're offering us here. We value an additional presence in the state of Texas, because as a network at Fox, we're already getting Baylor and, Texas Tech and TCU and all these schools on our network. But if we can get that lower end, and that gives us another couple million in profitability, that's going to push our network forward.
And the thing that people don't talk about with ESPN is, what did ESPN get with K-State and BYU? They got 1 million viewers in a late night window. They got 1 million viewers. That's all they need. They need quality games that people will tune into. If you are the Mountain West, you're not selling that. What you're selling is Saturday afternoon football that is good quality football for a reasonable rate.
Yeah.
That's all you're selling. If you are the AAC, what are you selling? Something completely different. You're selling, hey, we're the best G5 conference. We've got big brands in major markets. Pay us more money. And you should pay them more money because of Tampa, New Orleans, Memphis. You look at the teams in that league, they're on a different plateau, which is why they're not joining the Pac-12. Anyway.
Who you are and where you are.
I am amazed. I am amazed at how unwilling to look at reality Pac-12 fans still are today.
Well, and I think Pac-12 fan is just uninformed. I mean, I'm seeing some of these, a variety of other comments, saying a bunch of different things, and if you think that somehow like money's going one way or another, or like, there's a lot of different things being said that just tell me that a lot of you guys respectfully are just uninformed on how TV negotiation works.
Yeah.
And what I would ask you is to take a step back if you're a Pac-12 fan and think about, hey, if we were asking for the proper number here, like if our ask was $7 million a year, let's say, you would probably have a TV deal sitting here that was contingent on you adding schools. But you don't have that right now because you're asking for 12. It's too much.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the comment section. And I dip my toe into the comment section because if it's already crazy. Let's get into the comment section, always presented by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app in the business. And it is the best promo. Our promo code is doing so well. So many of you are playing Prize Picks, and I say thank you, because it's so enjoyable to watch you guys come back and say, oh, you were totally right. Yesterday, my guy Jerry in Atlanta saying that he won over the weekend because he had 5 3-pick flex plays on Prize Picks.
Nice, dude.
It's exactly how you win. And he won 4 of those 5, and he made a bunch of bread.
Yeah, Jerry, don't call me Gary.
Now, unfortunately, he did not take my advice on Shohei Ohtani. I can only lead the horse to the great gambler. I can't make him place a wager.
You can only lead him to the casino.
Right? Like I'm telling you. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty, Monty, Monty. You deposit $5. They're going to instantly match you with $50 more. You can play an entire football season on $55. It's Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Tens of millions of users, tons of you on this show. Download the app, use the promo code Monty. Here's the formula to win. And a ton of our viewers are winning on this. It's called a flex play. You make 3 picks, right? And usually there's a promo. I don't know what the NFL promo for next week, if it's out yet on Prize Picks.
It's got to be a baseball one today.
But there has to be a MLB playoffs are
Yeah,
fantastic.
there's got to be a baseball one today.
I would think that there is. If you look at I play in Major League Baseball, I play hits, runs, and RBIs, which is my favorite one. Gunnar Henderson is the one I would go with today. 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I would go more with that. And so that's all you're going to do. Marcelo Ozuna, 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against the Padres of San Diego. That's the night game tonight, 6:38, to get the playoffs going. Like, this is not even difficult. And then I also love pitcher strikeouts, because if you look at Kansas City, they're running Cole Reagans out against the Orioles. 7.5 strikeouts on a demon. Not doing that. Give me the flat 6 strikeouts.
Yeah.
I'm going to take less than that because I think Baltimore is going to beat up Kansas City. So I would take less than that. Use a flex play for those 3. Play $5 on a flex play. Boom. You're winning. Because all you need on a flex play, all you need is 2 of your 3 to hit and you win.
And Prize Picks is one of the only daily fantasy providers that does something where, like, over the weekend, I had my NFL, 3 picks flex play, and I had Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, and Caleb Williams. Rashee Rice obviously gets hurt for whatever Patrick Mahomes was doing on that
laying
play.
on the ground.
Yeah, but so Rashee Rice gets hurt and leaves the game, but Prize Picks doesn't penalize me for that. And so I got my other 2 correct, which was Justin Jefferson for 1 rushing receiving touchdown and Caleb Williams discount for a half-yard passing. And I had a $20 flex play. That's a $60 win right there, because they don't penalize you if guys get hurt and, leave the game.
Love it.
And I love that about Prize Picks.
Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty to open a new account. You have to have a new account. Deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. All right, let's get into some Thanksgiving. Calford gives 5 Monty Show memberships. I'm sorry, let me replay that. Calford gives 5 more.
Let's go, baby.
Monty Show memberships. America's favorite mailman, Lubbock, Texas. Pew, pew.